Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another brand new episode of Cine'ta 10. I'm Shantanu Bunik, your host for this episode, and we have a very special guest here with us tonight. Our guest is been the winner of the Dhaka International Mobile Film Festival Award of the Short Film Sector in 2023, Mr. Irfan Noor K.
Thank you so much, Shantanu. I'm really honored to be here, and it's always a fun and exciting moment whenever Dhaka Film Festival and the association would call me up and let me give me the space to talk about my journey or my ideas and whatever. It's an honor to be here.
So let's just begin, sir, by I want to personally ask you like how your journey has been this far, like by making that short film, that making process and everything, and finally getting selected and finally winning that award. How was that journey till then?
Uh, I don't know. It's a surreal feeling for me, to be very honest, because I knew I had a great idea or a great subject in my hands, but actually it was much bigger than me, myself, or whoever was associated with me back then. And the fact that I didn't really have whatever I thought I need to make this a story, possible. But I was making movies or documentaries with phone before the movie which won the award, The Land of My Forefather. I had already made two short documentaries with mobile phone before, so I had some experience. Unfortunately, and it was COVID and people were busy. It was hard to really get out there and shoot and whatnot. So I had to do it myself. And let me tell you, and I'm being brutally honest here, that I'm not a cinematographer and I'm not a DOP and whatnot. And I'm the DOP of that project. So I didn't have a choice. It was only possible with the mobile phone. If I really wanted to, actually, I did want to go out and find some sponsor and hire some big gadgets and equipments and whatnot to show the full potential of the story. I still think I could have done much better with them. But ultimately, to me, I'm a writer first, then anything else. So for me to tell the story was at most priority. I couldn't wait, actually. I couldn't wait for a single day because every single day was just damaging the history. It's an archaeological movie. It's about a piece of history of my land, which I didn't know back then. I just discovered if I was, and I'm an enthusiastic, about history and archaeology and whatnot. I'm a big lover and passionate about these things. And I didn't know about it. And it was eye-opening for me if I didn't know about it, and it's just there, in my backyard. The name is from a place where my elders grew up and were born and whatnot. I didn't know about it. How could I expect the world to know about it? So that was my driving force. I will never say it was easy uh, to execute it. There was so many roadblocks and whatnot. There were so many technical issues, but ultimately it was possible because of mobile phone, because it was so handy. And so yeah, without phone it wouldn't have been possible, I think, personally. So yeah, then I found the Dhaka. The second part of your question was about the competition and winning it. And believe me, Dhaka was not my first competition. My film had been running around the world, in different festivals for a year before Dhaka. And then, I was always looking up at Film Freeway about mobile category or mobile film festival. And I came across Dhaka. I remember putting it on my private list before it started, you know, because it was not open yet. So I did that and I waited, and when it was open, I got a notification. I just submitted it because if my movie had a chance anywhere in the world and it was made with mobile phone, at Dhaka Film Festival, Dhaka International Mobile Film Festival was the place. And I was just lucky. I guess I got the award, and there was nothing else, just the luck. I'm pretty sure the other projects were as much engaging, inspiring, or captivating as mine, if not more. But I'm just honored and thankful to the jury that they honored me with this award.
Like, how do you see the changes? Like, films are usually made with big cameras, lot of setups and everything. But to do it with the mobile, how do you see it? Like the new changes that's been bringing it into the world.
Personally, I think it's one of the greatest invention of the whole time in terms of filmmaking. Because as much as we say or talk or wanna believe that it's an independent industry, or it's all about creativity or stories or whatnot, believe me, there are more to it. You need to have links in the industry. You need to have links in the market, or you need to know people who can help you out in these things, and you need to have the money to buy or rent out these big gadgets, which can be way too expensive. But since the mobile phone, now we can most probably create movies just by a tap of a finger. It's there, and I made my first movie with iPhone 7. Believe me, so many people didn't believe it was a mobile phone film. So it's all about whether you know how to use it or not. And if you know, and if you experiment and test its potential, it can create magic and wonder. And people, big names, and from Hollywood, people are pushing it, testing it, and they are so happy with it. Then again, they have the big gadget. I'm not saying that with big cameras or equipment, your movie, you don't need them. I'm not saying that you do need them, and hopefully one day I will get my hands on to those things. But until then, I have my phone. It means I don't need to wait till I get those things. And so many people, so many youngsters nowadays are making it as an excuse. I'm sorry to break it to them, and I don't want to be rude or anything. I really believe if I can do it, anyone in the world, believe me, I might be the dumbest person alive. If I could do such a thing, anyone in the world can do it. And people have much better phone in their arsenal. I have a iPhone 7. The movie I made, it was made by from a phone which was borrowed from a friend. I didn't have any phone back those days. If I can borrow a phone and make a movie, most of the people nowadays, especially youngsters, they have very good and nice mobile phone under their belt, and they can just do it. It's just all about finding the storyteller, and you believe me, it can be wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you so much for that input. But the other thing that comes into my mind when we talk about mobile films, that is, like, youngsters these days are kind of like tend to move away from their goals too easily. They get often too frustrated, maybe easily. So, what is your motivation to them? Like, what motivated you to keep on going it, and how can you motivate them to keep them going?
And it would be I'm sorry, maybe you are not looking forward to this answer, but this is who I am, and this is what I believe. I don't expect everyone around me or everyone in the world to be a filmmaker. It's just a fact. And it would be so wrong for me to push everybody with the phone, and I don't want that, and I don't want the competition, to be very honest. They can be really amazing and great, and filmmaker like me are scared of those people. But yeah, if you really have it in you, like a filmmaker, whenever I choose a project or a topic, mostly I find myself fascinated and working towards documentaries, and mobile phone are really good with documentaries, especially because it brings that rawness to it, that honesty towards it, towards the story. It adds up to that thing too. So whenever I choose a subject or a topic to tell, believe me, the topic doesn't let me sleep. I'm always thinking about it. Even I'm dreaming about it. When I'm awake, I'm trying to figure out ways to make it done. If you have that, restlessness in you about anything apart from filmmaking, I'm talking to all the youngsters out there. If you have that passion, if it's about, make playing PUBG on phone, if you're really good at it, utilize it, man. Utilize it, because there's a market for it. People are going to world championship with that. It's all about channelizing and finding your passion, your peace, and doing something and using it, and you benefit, rather than making it affect you, your social life, your family, your health. That's just, what's the point then? I just want to tell the youngster to find whatever that is, whether it's mobile photography, mobile filmmaking, making TikToks, or making Instagram reels, a snap, a sport thing, whatever. I'm not really modern or up to these social things, but yeah, whatever it is, find that thing, and you find, believe me, how you know about it is that you will always be thinking about it, always. And we all are thinking about things all the time. Just find that one thing which you're really passionate about. You find yourself unconsciously thinking about it or wanna do it. Just follow that. It will carve the way for you. Just do that. And it then again, I'm really sorry if I'm walking away from filmmaking in general, but it was never about that only, when it comes to youngsters.
Thank you so much for that input. So, like your film, The Land of the Forefathers,
Yep.
can you tell us a bit more about that? Like, what were the struggles when you were making it, and when it
Oh,
completely came out, how did you receive? Like, how did people receive that film?
yeah, there were a lot of struggle because it was a territory and a documentary which was really in the dark shades of the environment, or the society. There was some people who were like, my family probably knew them, and I was lucky enough to find family connection towards it, and that's how it became possible in the first place. I don't think if somebody from outside would have gone there and tried to dig it out and try to find the truth, people would have get offended easily. And I had that privilege, and I used it in my behalf. Still, there was so many people there was this particular character. I still think if he was in my movie would have been much more better than whatever it is. And because he has personal experience on the ground, and he is living two different lives, like a yeah, he's like a vigilante or something like that, and it's so interesting. Till today I'm talking to him, but he is in security and whatnot, so he never showed up on the camera. I talked with him off the camera, and we had long conversation. I met him like course of the filming. I met him like two times, and we had and not to kill the story. Yeah, that rhymes too. So yeah, that's about it. So I found that way to use. That's why I had to. I'm a character in the story as well. That's why I had to put myself in there because I'm from the same area, and I'm just like the audience. Even though I'm still from the same area, and I still feel like I didn't know about the whole subject matter. So it made me like the audience. The audience was, getting into the story through my eyes, and whatever I was going through. So that was a technique I found along the way, and it was helpful for me. And it kind of showed me that there's not one way to tell a story. You can always find a way. You subject matter, and it was apart from all the struggle and my own journey. This is, I think, it's a very important topic for the world to know, because it's not just Pakistan or Balkistan or Bangladesh or India. Everywhere around the world, there are places, there are ancient history of human civilization. And if we go, the history I'm talking about in the movie, which is like 7 to 8 thousand years old. If we go back 7 to 8 thousand years old, there's no Bangladesh or Pakistan or India or whatever. We all were just one, and probably the Western world was one as well. Then we started migrating and expanding our territories. So technically, I'm not telling my story; I'm telling the world's story in a way, and that was the goal. And thankfully, I'm just lucky, and I'm lucky and blessed that wherever the movie went, and people have watched it, they liked it. And people I made that movie. Ultimately, I made that movie because I remember talking to a producer from Hollywood. When I was pitching it, and when I was talking about it, he didn't understand the topic. He said, why should I care about it? That Those were his literal words. Why should he care about it? And I was stunned. I didn't even answer. I just made up in my mind that either way I'm gonna make it, whether you should care about it or not. When I make it, and I'm trying to make it with my heart, I put all my heart and honesty in there. So I believe so. I really believe in that thing, and it has paid off. That when you make something with your art, it will touch the hearts of the people. And yeah, so I decided to make it just for my own people, for the people who are living there, for the people who are from Balochistan. I just wanted to make it for them so that they know their history, and especially for the students of the region, because after my research, I found out they don't know about it, and I wanted to I wanted to let them know, put it in their conscious that there's something like this and it's happening in your land. You should probably try to take care of it. And that was my goal. And it kind of expand from my own boundaries and my region. It for travel through Bangladesh, India, and all the way through Europe and North America and South America. Last month, I think it was last month or a few months before, it was screened there in Australia too in a film festival. So yeah, it almost crossed. It went through all the way around the world. So yeah, I think you just need to make a story which you really think is important to you. Believe me, there are people who feel the same way like you around the world. Doesn't matter where they are from. It's all about their story, and we are the same as human. Everywhere you go, we are the same deep down.
I think at the end of the day, that's what matters. Like, if you're doing your work with full hard work and dedication, I think it's gonna pay off in the end.
Hopefully, yeah. There's the idea, but if it doesn't, then it doesn't mean you should stop or just give up if something didn't work. If you're doing it for yourself, you have done it. That's what matters. You wanted to do it, you have done it. Either it give you the fruit you wish for or not. It shouldn't be the concern. I think the only thing for filmmakers, I think the only mentality for a filmmaker should be to get the story out there. Whether it will do good or not, there's a debate for later. We will see about that.
So
And
thank you
keep
so
on
much.
improving. Yeah, keep on improving. With
That's
every
important.
project, you should not repeat the same thing, and you should kind of improve yourself because we're learning every day. So there's at least my goal, and I'm trying to follow that. And I would suggest if someone can follow it too, would be great.
So now I'm really curious to know about, are you working in any new projects? Are you working on something?
Yeah, actually, I am working on something like couple of things. I'm right now. I'm in Australia, studying in New York Film Academy, Australia. Before coming here, I was working on a project. It was a very difficult position for me. Either I could have done it with phone and with camera, but this time I went with the camera because I had it. And yeah, the project was done. There were a couple of scenes which were missing, and I had to come here in Australia. It was like was in Urdu or Hindi, and I can't speak Bangladeshi, so Bengali, so I could have said it too, but in English it would be sounded left behind. It's all about the sound. We are living, over there. The sound which are already there, things are changing. The shape of the city is changing. Things are being modernized, but there are ruins, which are left behind. And there are people who have been living in the street, which are, which are changing with the time, but people are still there. So the noises of the people, the crowd, and little things, some an old tree which has been there for long time, for generation, and the birds sound the same. So my focus on that story was to explore the sense of sound and how it can create nostalgia for people. You go back to your country or you to a place, to your hometown after so long, things are changed. Would be the same, which can be a door for you to get back to your memory land, to your childhood. And that was the idea I was trying to experiment with. Unfortunately, I couldn't finish it, and hopefully, I will finish it about next year. But here in Australia, I've worked on a couple of projects. Right now, I'm working on an indie feature film, which is called In the Prison of Time, which is about some immigrants, illegal immigrants, and about a writer who who is it's like crime drama, and magic. It's a really personal project to me as well. After coming to a foreign land, and living here and seeing and meeting all these people around the world, and then there's a story. We have people from Pakistan, people from everywhere, and we are not saying where the story is taking place, because the place is not important at all to us, at least. And it's all about, because it can be anywhere in the world. It can be Europe, North America, or America, Canada, or Australia, or anywhere in the world. We are trying to, go out there and find a better life. But whether we can find it or not, that's the question. So we are trying to explore that all question and thesis in this story. It's all about freedom, and the difference between living the life in our countries and over here. And there are a lot of things I don't want to get into it, and spoil some things right now. But yeah, it's a very indie film, and we are just we are actually in pre-production right now. We are starting the shoot from this Saturday, like day after tomorrow. So yeah.
So I would personally like to know, and I hope all our audiences would love to know as well, that interest in filmmaking, that passion that you're showcasing and you're putting all the effort in. When did you actually realize that, okay, this is something I'm made for, this is something I want to do?
I I actually call myself an accidental filmmaker sometime, which wouldn't be so far away from the truth. Basically, I always loved to act. Back in school days, I used to do stage dramas and whatnot. I really liked it, but I never thought I would become a director or a filmmaker. I wanted to tell stories. I actually, in the land of my forefather, I say a dialogue, and it's a fact. It's a documentary. I never really put anything apart from my thoughts and the reality in there. And I said that I always wanted to be an archaeologist. I still do want to be an archaeologist. If I was given a choice before becoming a filmmaker, I would have become an archaeologist. No doubt about it. I still love it. It's way too close to my heart, and I'm working on another writing a project about. Uh, we should call it in Desi Indiana Jones in a way. It's a big statement, but yeah, it's I'm not really taking myself too seriously. But yeah, it's really I'm really passionate about that project of mine, and I know I cannot do it alone. It's a fact. It will require a lot from the industry to help me out. Anyway, uh, so yeah, when I couldn't become an archaeologist, I sat down. I refused to go and do anything else in terms of a study. I just said no to my family that if I'm not becoming an archaeologist, and you want me to become a doctor or engineer or whatever that is you want to be, sorry, I'm not that guy. And ultimately, what do you want from me? You want me to earn money? So why should I waste like 4 to 5 years of my life in a academy? I will go out there and find a job and start earning money right away if that's what you want. And I I was so naive and stupid anyway. And I went to Bahrain, kingdom of Bahrain, for a year to find work. Half of my family, a few of my family member lived there, so I was there. And my uncle is a videographer there, and he is a studio, is a big name in that country, thankfully. So I was working in his studio, and back before going there, actually I realized that I wanted to act and I wanted to write a story. That's how I started back in 2013. I wrote a story which was which was so bad. Anyway, that was my beginning. I wrote a story. It was called "Where is Humanity." There were no dialogue in it. Yeah, so I was the actor in it, and I went around to my friend circle, and probably, to be very honest, I had more idea about direction than my friends. But still, I didn't wanted to do everything by myself. So I went around to my friend circle, and I asked some of them, "Can you be the director of this project? This story I've written? It's a short film. I want to be in it." And I found the team, and I had a cousin who was good with camera. He was the cameraman and the editor of the project, Rashid Baloch, and we made it. And that's when I found my passion about because I was a movie buff since I was a kid. I grew up watching like Evil Dead, Seed of Chucky, or Child's Play, and Die Hard, and E.T., and movies like that. Jurassic World and things, Jurassic Park and things like that when I was a kid. And I was, because my uncle was a really big movie buff, and we had this VCR. You go and rent out movies, and we always watch movies. And I was terrified of horror movies. I had nightmares when I was a kid. But unconsciously, they built this thing, the of you know, love of me for movies. There was a time when I watched two movies a day before going to bed. That was Keban, you know. I wouldn't go to bed before I finished two movies, and that was my life before I started making films. Now I don't get much time to watch movies, unfortunately, but I still love it. I'm a movie fan before I'm a filmmaker, and before I'm a director, I'm an actor and a writer. So now I had to become a director and a producer myself, because nobody wanted to do my stories and nobody wanted to cast me. So I learned how to direct and to tell my own stories, and it's crazy that you can do it in this time and age. We are so advanced. Back in the day, one person could not make a movie, and mobile has a very big contribution to make that possible. Actually, to make the movie all by yourself.
That's really inspiring, sir. Thank you so much. So I think if you want to change something in this industry, or bring changes or improve certain things, for you, what are those things that need to be worked on?
I think we should work on ourselves first and foremost. I know escalation and blah blah blah. Don't talk about plus B, but I do believe in this thing, because I don't have control on anybody else. Everyone in this industry, in this field, have their own creative ways and ideas and whatnot. And believe me, we are so egoistic in this field. Most of us are, and we are so passionate and protective about our projects. So we we hardly give a space to anyone. I'm talking about myself, uh, before I would talk about anyone else. So I'm like that too, and I don't want to be like that, because it's a creative and collaborative industry, and that field. You need to be open to suggestions and idea and things to get better. And I think there's the thing in most of us, especially if I talk about my region back in Pakistan, because I cannot talk about the all Pakistan. I have I barely work in the industry and whatnot, so I cannot talk about it. But if I will talk about whoever I met with, most of the people are into they are in their own worlds, and I think they need to open up and go out and see the world and how respect people, most importantly. Because when I there's the difference. I've never been to Bangladesh. Hopefully one day I will visit it, and I want to. And I have no idea how people. I do have some ideas how things are done in India and Bollywood, especially because we grew up watching them. And as a filmmaker, we watch the BTS and follow the gossip and whatnot. We have an idea how things work. But other than that, I cannot talk about any other nation and whatnot. But I've worked in Pakistan on one or two projects. The only problem I think is that I always said here in Australia as well, the difference between here and there is that like I don't know what was my idea to. I never knew how would the land of my forefather would look. For me, it was a totally different project when I started it, but when I finished it, it became a totally different thing. I love it. I never saw it happening, and I was stuck. Believe me, I had to deliver the project like in a week. My story was not clear, and I had to deliver it in a week, and there was no way I could make the story work. Then that was the point. I don't know. People believe me. I'm not exaggerating anything. It was literally a week before when I decided to get myself in there and make myself a character in the movie to anchor it, to make it more organized, to get the narration or narrative and working and momentum and connect everything. That's when I decided to make myself a character. Maybe I had like 14 days from deciding to be a character to shooting the shots I need of myself, and whatever shot as a BTS I shot, and back when I was shooting, I used those shots as well, which were supposed to be BTS, which were not supposed to be a part of the main project, and I still use them. And there is a point when I'm where there's a very unique and a very, I think, raw point in the movie, The Land of My Forefather, where I'm just holding my mobile phone like this, talking to the camera. It's like this, and I'm talking to the audience like this, and this is, I'm violating every single technique of filmmaking. Then again, I don't believe there's a certain pattern you should follow. If you think this is how your story should be and it could work, just do it. But yeah, I think applied every single method or technique of documentary filmmaking in that single movie. There are fictional element, there are docu drama element in there. There are gorilla style, or just following the character and investigative style in there, and there are presenter led style, there is essay style in there, there are archive in there, there are talking head in there, which are like people are sitting just talking to the camera. Every single technique I knew about documentary filmmaking, I think I have unconsciously used it in the single project, because I think it had to be like that, for me at least. I'm not saying it's perfect or whatever. I probably would make it 1,000 times better if I will go back and shoot it again. But yeah, it's just the tip of the iceberg, this Land of My Forefather, believe me. Last time when I was talking to an interview, I said it is just 0.002% of the research I had done for this subject matter. And there's how much people are looking at it on the movie. And 99.98% are still unspoken about the topic. And I thought I would make it a feature eventually. And in the future, maybe I will still do, but I don't think it would be possible just by myself, which I did this project by. And there were so many people in pre-production and after in post-production, people were there with me, and it was a teamwork. But on the production, there were just two guys. That's it. And I don't think I could do that with if I try to make it a feature. I would need people, and yeah, people, money, time, and everything to make it a possibility.
Thank you. That is so inspiring, sir. I'm afraid we're coming into the close of this session.
Really?
Like time really flew fast. It was really nice listening to your stories and everything. And you are teaching so many youngsters who are watching this thing. I think they're gonna get inspired by you.
No,
And
it would be an honor. It would be
congratulations
an
on that
honor.
award from DIMFF.
Thank you so much. It was an honor too.
And hopefully you are making your country proud. And
Yeah.
you'll continue to make your country proud by bringing us more new amazing projects. So thank you everyone for joining us today. So I'm Shantanu Bunit, your host, signing off from this episode. So see you all in the very next episode. Thank you.